one stop before we get to the Bay of Islands. It's more a comfort stop than anything. Just outside the little town of Kaiwaka before we head into Paihia, which is the main town of the Bay of Islands. Then we'll make a brief stop. Once again, really just a comfort stop. And then we'll make our way up to the Waitangi Treaty Grounds, those who have got that included in their tour. And then we'll come back down to Paihia for the Holland Rock Cruise. There's a couple doing just going over to Russell for the mini tour. But we'll make sure everyone goes in the right direction. And we should leave Paihia today by around about 4:15. Back into the city by roughly 7:30. So it's a fairly long day, and timing is important today. So when I do give you a time to be back onto the coach at any stage, please look at the map. Quite a narrow strip of rail or isthmus between two harbours. The second harbour is the Manukau, and it goes out into the Tasman Sea on the west coast. So the east and the west coast are very close together in this part of New Zealand. Only about 5 miles wide is the narrowest point. Point about the harbour there is very deep, very safe harbour. It has many islands, over 120 islands out there, of various shape and size. Some are reserved, some are privately owned. Some, like Waiheke Island, are really just a suburb of the city. And the people that live out there will perhaps catch the ferry into the city. It takes about 40 minutes. They can go back to the island lifestyle at the end of the day. Much better than sitting in the traffic for 40 minutes, that's for sure. So it brings us over onto the North Shore, which before the bridge was really just farmland. There's the odd little beach and holiday home. And to get over this side, you either had to take one of the ferry services that plied their way across the harbour, or perhaps the long drive out to the west. Hence, as soon as they put the bridge in, a lot more people decided to live over here. And it quickly became one of the fastest growing, and still is one of the fastest growing areas of Auckland City. Home to around about 380,000 on this side of the harbour, which is part of the total population of Auckland of 1.5 million people. And with New Zealand having a total population just published before Christmas, 4,444,444 people. I was waiting for the 0.44 to come out in the statistics, but it means that well over 1/3 of New Zealanders live up here in the upper North Island. A toll road, one of only 2 toll roads in New Zealand. There's another one down near the city of Tauranga on the east coast, but I think it's going to be a thing of the future as far as the roads going and the funding. Still suburbs out to the right, out on the eastern bays and up through the little town of Orewa. Was exported out of New Zealand in the very early days, and the early boats would come and trade all sorts of provisions with the local Māori, and then they'll head away with a boat full of the flat back through that town, so it has got a lot quieter. It is also known to be a place where one of our famous hen, and you'll see him in our fields. It's a little white tail that flicks like a rabbit. And the black sleek body and the bright red legs and beak. One of the few of our native birds has actually flourished with the coming of humans here to New Zealand. Prior to humans coming, 95% of our land was covered in our dense native bush and forest, which was the natural habitat for many of our native birds. And New Zealand has no native mammals. Here in New Zealand, only a species of bat. So this land was a land of huge bird life, insects and fish, as the Māori encountered when they came here to New Zealand. Great food source. The natural enemies, with the exception of a large bird of prey known as the Haast eagle. And the Haast eagle, if that was still alive today, would be the biggest bird of prey in the world, with a wingspan of over 3 metres and weighing about 13 or 14 kilo. And it was only the Haast eagle that was big enough and strong enough with its huge talons that could take down one of the moa. This is prior to humans arriving, of course. Now the Māori found them very easy to hunt. The smallest species of the moa is about the size of a small turkey. The Māori would burn or set fire to the bush to flush the moa out to go to their slaughter. Now, unfortunately, the moa was put into extinction only 200 years after the Māori arriving here. And along with that, of course, the deforestation and by the Māori, not only for the hunting the moa, but they also burnt a lot of the forest so they could plant their crops. It really has given a lot of our native birds a hard time over the years. Many of them, unfortunately, has gone into extinction. Now the Europeans, they were no exception either. They cleared a lot more of the bush when they arrived here. And now we have only about 25% of our original nature. So that is down in the World Heritage Area of Te Wāhi Pounamu, which is the southwest corner of the South Island. And just here on the left, we'll be passing the entrance into Puhoi, a little historic village. You don't actually see the village from the road. The original settlers in this area came from Bohemian area of what's nowadays the modern day Czech Republic. Didn't sort of find what they wanted there, so they wrote to the early government of New Zealand, to the top half of the North Island in those days. They said, yeah, sure, come along, we've got some wonderful land just north of Auckland, suitable for farming and growing crops. It's all yours. So they arrived here with great enthusiasm, journeyed up the Puhoi River, which was just a little further back there, up into this area, and to their dismay they discovered a land that's, as we can see around us, extremely hilly, covered in very dense native bush, which they would have one of those is the silver fern. And the silver fern's worn on the breast of all of our international sports teams. And the silver fern is called that because it looks like just a normal green fern, but when you turn the leaf over, and the underside of the leaf is a definite silver colour. And the Maori would use it the old day, a bit like Hansel and Gretel, I guess, through the forest with the breadcrumbs. They'd just turn the leaf over, it would glow in the moonlight. They'd find their way back through the forest, or maybe mark a path for anybody they want to follow them. The tree ferns, of course, also are an ancient tree dating right back to the Gondwana times. New Zealand, of course, at one point was part of the huge continent of Gondwana, which the lands of Africa, South America, Australia and Antarctica were all part of. But New Zealand was one of the very first pieces to break away some 200 million years ago. That's causing some rather unique evolution. I talked about the fact that the birds were really the lords of New Zealand's creatures, with no real natural enemies. New Zealand did break away. It was before the times of things like snakes and the reptiles. So a lot of them evolved and became flightless, and some of them rather fat and lazy as well. They really did have no reason to fly away or to fly. They had no natural enemies, but they needed to do that. But with the introduction of introduced pests such as dogs, cats, rats, mice, stoats, weasels, and the possum from Australia, and along with the deforestation, a lot of our native birds really have struggled to exist, and many of them unfortunately have gone into extinction. These days, of course, we make a huge effort to preserve what birds we have left, and most of them can live fairly happily on mainly islands that are off the coast of New Zealand that have been eradicated of those introduced pests, and also has an abundance of trees and bush that they love to live in. And I mentioned the known as Port Albert, which is on the Kaipara Harbour, way off to the west from here. Now the people of Welsford, when they early settled here, they wanted to come up with a name for their town, so they took the first letter of the surnames of the early settler families, jumbled them all up, and came up with the name of Welsford. Which was probably just as well, because the original Maori name, which translates to the smell of rotting fish. So I'm sure that's one of the reasons why they wanted to change the name of the town. But Welsford here, just a little support town for the nearby farming. Also quite a popular stop for travellers north. We're going to push on through a little further out to the town of Kaiwaka to make our morning stop. The highway that heads off to the left hand side, Highway 16, takes you up to Helensville and Port Albert. Very important in those early timber days for the export of the kauri timber. Also provides an alternative route back to the city. Some of the locals have a bit of a downturn over the last economic times. And number 3 is the timber industry, the timber exported out of New Zealand. they would use one known as the taiaha. The taiaha was a long spear-like object. It wasn't thrown, but more used in a stabbing or cutting action, with one end being a pointed shape and the other one being a flat blade. Quite fatal if you knew how to wield one of those. Also, hand clubs known as patu or miri, made from either timber, stone, or our native jade, ponamu or greenstone. And if you could wield one of these clubs with skill, you could take the top of someone's skull off with ease. seafarers with companies by the likes of the Dutch East India Company, big traders across the world, and they were looking for the fabled southern continent that they thought would have to exist to balance out the rest of the world with the weight of Europe and the Americas. They thought there should be another big landmass and down in the Southern Ocean to counter place nowadays known as Golden Bay. He called it Murderer's Bay because he didn't actually set foot on land, Abel Tasman. He reached the coast and sent some of his men on the longboats in towards the shore to see if they could gather provisions or even find water to restock what they had on the boat. Or maybe even our native sea trout, the kakawai. So it has kept its name Bream Bay ever since.
Look, it's beautiful here, look. Look.
Out on the edges of Bream Bay, we may see as we come down the hill to our back right, some islands known as
Нам неправильно говорили, что
Islands,
аборигенов ели
also
кука, его
named
никто
by
не ел.
Captain Cook. If you look really closely, hold your tongue right and squint a little, you may see that it looks like the brooding hen with her little chickens. Also out there, the Four Knights Island, also named by Captain Cook. These days it's become one of the world-class deep-sea diving islands here in New Zealand. Anyone who does come here to look for the diving, scuba diving, most likely will go out there and visit the Four Knights Island with the deep cliff drop-offs and some other unique sea creatures out here. The jagged hills that you can see, or peninsula coming out from the mainland there, are the heads of the Whangarei Harbour. And Whangarei is our northernmost city. We'll pass through that a little further up the road, so I'll tell you all about that. But those are ancient volcanoes, more than 2 million years old. They're broken down over time. The hills that we've just come up over are known as the Brynderwyns. A very good Welsh name, probably named by some of the very early settlers. Are pretty spoilt for choice out there, and some definite world records have been achieved going after those huge fish. Mostly these days the fish will be tagged and released rather than brought home as a trophy. I think at the moment the record for the marlin, I couldn't tell you how heavy it is. It all depends on the weight of the line as well they catch them with. It's actually held by a 14-year-old boy. Be able to immigrate here to Waipu, you had to provide evidence from your church back home that you were sound mind and sound habits to be able to come and settle here in Waipu. That probably knocks out quite a few of us, I'm guessing. But the people here at Waipu, they're very proud of their Scottish heritage, and here on New Year's Day every year they have some of the biggest Highland games that you'll find outside of Scotland, where they toss the caber and throw the hammer and wear their kilts all day. So we don't actually go through the little village that's off to the right. This highway bypasses it. And also out through the town there's a beautiful beach known as Waipu Cove, which is a favourite of the local surfers in the right conditions. And is one of many beaches on this coast with names like Ruakaka, Tuakaka, Mangawai Heads. It's beautiful beaches and very favourite spots for the holiday makers. About a month ago was declared a drought area. Now in New Zealand our droughts are a bit different to perhaps from Australia would experience, and where some of your droughts can last for years. Now up here in the far north, the usual rainfall is between 350 and 400 millimetres over this period of the year, the 3 to 4 months of the summer. Now this area had, up until about 2 weeks ago, had no significant rain since before Christmas. Now the farmers rely on that typical rainfall, and as soon as it disappears then things become rather drastic. Typically they don't need to irrigate. They also rely on the grass growth that happens over the summer period to provide feed for the winter, which means if the grass isn't growing at the moment. But also Urutiti Beach there is a nudist beach, so I hope you weren't looking.
Oh, no, just
Might be a little chilly this morning now, so. But like I said, the Department of Conservation has those free camps dotted all around New Zealand. It's great for the visitors and the locals to take advantage of during the, particularly the summer months. Just see a big stack of the green bales just down over the hill there to the left. Now there's a silage pit, that one there, or that could be also, it could be the grain, the maize that's been stored there as well. Now that green plastic that you see around the bales is biodegradable, once again made from vegetable oils. So the farmers normally put it in the gates, the farm gates that really become muddy and waterlogged during the winter, and that's like this. Or maybe just a little diesel car. They have to go along and buy kilometres from the government, and the heavier the vehicle, the more per kilometre you will pay. Now I'm not too sure about a vehicle like this, but I used to own a diesel van, and for 3,000 kilometres it would cost me about $130 to buy that many kilometres. So hence the diesel vehicles using the roads pay for the use of them, and the heavier the vehicle, the more per kilometre you pay, recognising the fact that they probably make more damage to the road than the littler vehicles. But it means our farmers don't have to worry about claiming a subsidy or rebate at the end of the year. They've already got that in the price of their diesel. I think it works quite well actually. If you're caught not having the current, what we call road user charges, up to date, you can be charged 3 times as much as a fine as you would have paid when you bought those kilometres originally. So it's very much policed. war dance or a challenge by the warriors to any visiting group of warriors to flex their muscles to show how vicious and mean and scary they were, hopefully sending the enemy away without any real need for a battle. If you're travelling down particularly to Rotorua, perhaps later in your journeys around New Zealand, you may get the opportunity to see some of this cultural shows that they hold down there. The song, the dance, the haka, and also what's known as the poi, the ball on the strings, very well performed by particularly the Māori woman these days. But also another way that they would tell their stories or their history was by way of rugby teams known as the taniwhas. A taniwha is a mythical sea creature or water creature of the Māoridom, and they are the guardians of our waterways. Most of the time rather mischievous creatures, but some of the legends and stories told probably to keep the kids out of the dangerous water and rivers. They're all scared of the river, basically, where your tribe or iwi come from. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world or around New Zealand, they will bring you back if they can to your roots, buried amongst your ancestors. And then your ancestors will show you the way underground right up to Cape Reinga, and your spirit will then leave New Zealand, travel across the oceans back to the homeland of Hawaii. Back in early 1851. It's not a lot of the land or the fortification remaining these days. It might just be a slight evidence. Kawakawa is known for is, of all things, its public toilets. Now, up here in Kawakawa there used to live a well-known Austrian architect. 6 months in a year he'd come live here. His name was Hunterwasser. Quite ironic really, because if you translate that from Austrian, it means 100 waters. Quite apt for a man who designed the local public toilets, I'm sure. Now he was well known throughout Europe for his architecture, the ceramic columns and lack of straight edging or edges on his designs, and the toilets, when he found out that they were going to build new ones, he asked if he could design them. Of course they were quite happy for a famous architect to do that. So we're just going to have a little detour through town here. Will only take us a few minutes before we carry on a bit further north. Have a quick look. As I said, we won't be able to stop. Now, Hunterwasser, he passed away a few years ago now, but and he was buried in the small farm that he owned on the outskirts of town. But they still really do embrace him and his architecture. There's a few little shops that have sort of taken up the same design. So we just come down through here. You see the train line. Oh look, here comes a train. Well, there you go. So if you've got your cameras handy, you'll see something rather unusual. So I'm just going to go slow. Now we'll get a better look at the toilets probably when we come back. But if you spot them, they're actually on the right hand side.
Famous train.
Well, that was unexpected. So now the loo's just here on the right. You can see there with the tree growing up through the middle and the plants on the roof. And
Where?
they use, not carts,
Oh.
we'll come back around so you get another chance for a photo if you need to. The glass
That's
bottles were
right.
used instead of glass windows to let in the light. A lot of farm implements, farm machinery used for the gates and the handles on the doors. There was quite a few tiles used in that those toilets that were made by local school children. So, okay, like I said, we'll come back around and we'll flick through the main street. And yeah, the train might still be there, perhaps, we'll see. So the train just leaves from the little railway station. You can see they've got a couple of other little engines down there as well. Just down to our right there. Now, like I said, purely just a little tourist train. They don't go too far, but they are hoping to take the track a little further out of town to the little port of Opua, and perhaps putting people on some of the Bay of Islands boats out there. So once again, the public works just coming up on the left hand side. See where the gold balls up there,
Where gold balls?
and the big tree growing up through the middle. This car's not only on the left, not only parked illegally, but also on the wrong side of the road in the bus stop. I don't really care, some of the locals especially. But stop for pedestrians.
Australia, Первый public toilet here. Первый toilet.
Now, a few years ago, they discovered a certain illegal plant
This is
growing
toilet, look, first toilet here.
of those toilets had to be quickly removed. Oh, I couldn't believe the timing on the train. It was great. Yeah. US says I said it only ran on the weekends, and that proved me wrong. So he's headed off. We possibly will see him a little bit further down the track. We do cross the railway line not too far down the road, so we may see it again. To Paihia. But during the days of the Second World War, New Zealand had a lot of the US Marines based here in places dotted around, particularly the North Island. And there was a base up here in the far north. And they used to bring their ships into the Bay of Islands to the little port of Opua, which is a little further up the road. And they wanted a road to transport some of the military, or at the most. And I'll tell you about what's going to happen once we get into Paihia, just to make sure we get everybody off into the right directions. And off to the first part of your visit here in the Bay of Islands. Now keep an eye out on the left. You may see we'll start to see the railway line coming up again, and we may see that train come through.
Интересно.
Because we're about to go over a level crossing, and it was difficult for me to see to my back left on the angle. Are you alright? Oh yeah, now we've got someone stopping us here because I'm guessing it's going to come very quickly. A line.
Hmm.
So I don't know whether the truck stopped or whether he's picking up the car or stopping us for the train, not quite sure. What's going on? Friendly neighbour. I can't see the train coming, unfortunately. I'd say this car, by the look of it's missed the corner and gone off into the edge there. Oh, taking out the train sign as a railway line as well. So the railway line heads off to the right, like I said, goes along to the little Port of Opua, and it's a project that's been ongoing for the last few years up here, and they've had to relay a lot of the track and also fix up the little bridges and little viaducts that go over the streams and gullies to get that line out there, so because they are governed by the... So many people of course choose the ferry, just a quick trip across the bay. You may have caught the glimpse or early first glimpses of the beautiful Bay of Islands as you come up over the hill, and I'll point out where Russell is when we come in to the bay. Howley Bay is a favourite for the locals to come and collect a few shellfish like pippies and cockles, maybe the odd mussel from the rocks. Now Russell is across the bay to our front right. It's not a little collection of houses directly across, but far right, get to the buildings on the wall up there is the town of Russell. It's not exactly the same spot as the first town of Kororareka. That's a little further around the bay. So the new town of Russell was built there. And the flagstaff that Honihike chopped down 4 times was re-erected and still stands up on Flagstaff Hill above the town of Russell. And I'm pretty sure these days it flies the New Zealand flag, the Union Jack, or the Confederated Union of Tribes. Oh, even the Ted Lines. Russell, of course, directly across the bay there now. So many hotels, motels, apartments. Talking through along the waterfront here.
Look at the bay.
And you just see one of the ferries coming in to the pier, the wharf there from across from Russell. Beautiful old Anglican church built here in the 1930s, but beautiful old English style stone church built there in the original mission church. It's built there in the early 1800s. Now, as far as the public bathrooms are concerned, which are off the coach, just see where these coaches are on the right. You'll see behind there the public toilets there, the big with the grass grown on the roof. And there's also some at the, I'm going to turn right here into the Maritime building, and there's toilets at the far end of that as well, forward of the coach. So just, once we pull up, just remain seated for a moment, just so we get everybody coming in.
Look. Lily, where? Lily? Look at the helicopter.
I know.
That would be nice to use one, eh? Here, by here, at the Bay of the Island.
Did you say we had to go upstairs?
No, I don't think so. She's going off. I would like to go. We saw this lovely beach there. But at least there's not many people
Mum,
there.
look, it's your best friend.
Yes, he is my best friend. Look, it's the Bay of Island. Подождите, wait. 1:15. I have time till one.
This is weird. No dogs are allowed on the beach.
Oh, how good. Oh, look. Shall we just stay here? There's not many people here, look. I think we'll be happily swimming here. Come on. Oh, look at this, how beautiful here, look. We can find some...
Dog, it's not your place. It's our place.
Yeah. There's only people over there. Look, look, just stay here, look. We'll leave our stuff there and swim. Phew, what stupid animals.
Yeah.
Why the sharks like an idiot? It's over there. Oh, look at this. Do you have some oysters there?
There might not be any oysters, I'm not sure.
I don't think it will be very cold now.
No.
It's just not sunny, but warm. Yeah, I know. Is oysters there anywhere?
No.
Oh, look. This is lovely beach here. Come on, this people clear off. It's not good, no good time for swimming. Oh. You might be waterproof shoes, but you don't have waterproof socks. You better take them off. Lily, swimming on the Bay of Island. Давай, Лилечка, go this way. What's up? What is the problem? Go, Lily, go this way, please, huh? You see if there's no stones. I want you to do near this island, look. This island is so close, you can swim there. Swim, darling, swim. Another one is there. This one is absolutely close. Итак, мы в Новой Зеландии. Называется место Bay of Islands. Bay of Islands. Залив островов. Ну, давай, купайся, купайся. Вот тут вода, кстати, мутная. Не очень. А город называется, забыла как. Я уже с ним.
I can't swim with these shoes on.
No, darling, you sort yourself out. If you don't wear your shoes, I wear them.
You can't, they're too small.
Yeah, but I manage. It's still better than the rocks. You know what I'm thinking? Maybe there will be no rocks on here, further down. Shall we try?
You try?
Try. No, you go in the water. Try. I'm following you like this. Maybe there's a less rocks. Tell me if there's no rocks. Сколько островов разных. А мы будем сейчас поедем на круиз, нас будет смотреть дельфинов и вот этот самый hole in the... No? Try this way. Try further down. Seagulls здесь. No? Perhaps we should swim here. Okay.
Okay, Mum, you can have these shoes.
Why? Okay. You can't swim with them?
You can take them.
Okay. I don't think they will be my size, but I'll try.
They can drown people.
Huh?
They can drown people.
Drown? Quite reverse.
Almost drown.
Oh. Bye-bye, seagulls. Right. Look, maybe sun is coming now. That would be nice.
Those little things are the mind of our business and not
Right.
their business. See? That is what I think.
Oh, look, stay here and make a picture over there. Stay here. Stay here, darling. Yes? Look, this is a lot of rocks here. This could be some animals. Something edible animal. Maybe this crab or lobsters. What about if I find lobster
Lobster.
or crab?
I'll kill it. I'll kill it.
Mm.
Would you?
Лилечка, на, you won't choose.
No.
In this case, why don't you stay where you were?
I like it.
Look for crabs here.
Rabbit.
Mm.
Or oysters. Oysters.
Oi. Look, there's a little bay here, look.
My
Well, Lily,
business.
you should have wear shoes. How can you go like this? I can understand how brave you are. Ah, look, this one, another one here. This is another bay. Ah, this is where we could have come. But there's too much stones here. Really, if I were you, I wouldn't go here.
I don't know.
Oh, you're a brave girl then. How can you do it all without shoes on? Oh, brave girl, I couldn't do it. Look, this is a lot of them here. So you're gonna see new oysters. So this is oysters, but only half of them, yeah? Are these full oysters? Well, this is probably full oyster, but how can... Oh, Lily, here, look. Oh, yes. Look, this is oyster, but it's empty. Oh.
Let me show.
Yeah, you need big stone for this, darling. Look, Lily, stay here, make your picture over there. Wow. Look, is this cranes here? Oh, look, this will be a good picture. Stay here, darling. Helicopters. This is what I would like. I hate planes, but I like helicopters. I think so easy to... Oh, look, what about this one, Lily? Try this, look. It's easy to destroy. Up. Is there anything inside? Yes? Can you try? Look, give me the stone. Look, give me a stone. Give me a
Okay.
stone. I think you need maybe from another side.
Don't worry, I know what I'm doing.
Edible? Shall I try? Look, look. Let me try. Hold the camera for me.
I got
will you?
it.
Oh, well done. Hold the camera for me, will you? Hold the camera. It's filming now. Right? It will film now.
I've done it.
Yeah, but is it edible? Not much edible here. Maybe you done it, but... Actually, there was something edible, you know?
I'll try. Here's the camera back. I'll try and get some more.
Look. What's this one? This is oyster.
A shell.
Maybe we'll be lucky enough to find the crab. Oh, Lily, you need shoes.
I don't. Can you find any? I'll go away. First found one.
What?
Found it.
What? Edible? What?
Look,
Stop.
there. See?
Oh, yes, it is, definitely. Does it? Stop. Maybe I should eat it by mouth. Oh, yes, Lily, you done it. Oh, Lily, you've done it. Look. Yes. You want to try it?
Nah.
Oh, mommy, da. Nice. What about this one? You done it, Lily. Try this one. Lily, doing oysters for me.
Oh, look at what happened.
Oh, look. This is oysters as strong as a stone.
Oh, yeah, it's nice and eaten. This one, you need a very strong stone.
Look, it's sun. Come in the sun. Look, Lilichka.
Have you found any more? Like you cut off?
There's plenty of. Look, I think we're better found here. Look. I think they all live in one place.
Look at this one.
Oysters, eh?
Here.
Oh, Lily is a master. We're going to take knife with us, yeah? Oh. It's not much. What about this one? Look, this is a good one. Oof.
If I can't do this one, you can't.
Oh,
My
no.
hands are smaller than yours.
Yeah. Bay of the Island. Bay of the Island. Красиво, конечно. Но тут вода почему-то не очень прозрачная. Может просто... Ой, people. Что им надо здесь, а? Пошли они отсюда.
You on. It's too, the gap's too small.
All right.
Done, Mum.
Oh, done. Well done, Lily. Oh, sure. You found one? Oh, Lily. Oh, people go from here. Hey, they're going to our clothes. Могу.
Oh, this one now you can
У меня пропали деньги с
Wait,
комнаты.
look, I found fossils. I found
Fossil?
fossils.
Where?
These.
Oh,
I
yeah.
found some fossils.
Oh, fossils. Hold on.
That
Fossils.
one. They're
Fossils is-
fossils.
Ah, they are. Oh, look. Sure you can do this one now.
Anyway, I was gonna do that one.
Oh, you're right, darling.
No, I think I got this almost cracked.
Aye. Listen, how are you doing without shoes? That's what I don't understand.
See.
It's above my understanding. Oh, Lily, look at this, how good I hear.
Should
Huh?
we go?
If you can go on the stone, look. This one is nearly ready.
I see it. Here. This one.
Yeah? Oh, yes. You drop it.
No, it was already been used.
Ah, it's already been used. By who? Who's there?
Here. Here's another one there.
Maybe we'll find the crab. Oh, you found one. Oh, thank you. Na, look, see how I'll eat it, Lily, na. Lily done it for me, na. And Mama eat it. Nice.
Here you are. Here's your camera.
Hold on, hold it. Hold it, guys. Didn't I see it? I'm taking it. You don't steal anything from us?
No. Look, another bigger fossil.
Oh, that's it. It's nice.
Mummy, where are you going?
I'm here. You know what? I want to sit on this helicopter and fly on it.
Mum,
Ugh.
are you being serious?
Yeah, I am.
Any other ones you found?
Got it? You got oyster for me?
No, already. It was so when I cracked it.
Ah. Done it.
Look, there's a worm in there.
Worm. It's not good oyster then. Oh, it's rotten one. Oh,
Yeah.
no. Там бенефекти повем. Oh. Oh, darling. Oh, no, never mind. Put in the water, yeah. It will be
I don't know.
Bayfile. Там все это острова. Не знаю, где вот этот Hole in the Rock, в таком именно
I
острове.
need to get another rock.
Lily, crushing oysters for me. Oh, lovely.
Oh my God!
What?
That oyster just cracked this rock!
Oh,
Oh
God.
my
Where is the
God.
oyster?
That oyster cracked this rock!
Oh.
It's too hard, that one.
Which one I think is good? Well, try this one, look. You can drop in, yes? What you drop in the water, you know, oh, yeah, pick it up and try the way it's safe, yeah? Oh, again, people going here. Oh, what they want from...
It's orange. That might not be a good one.
No, it's good one. What's wrong with this oyster? This is oyster one.
Okay.
It's good one.
Let's get it on my chocolate.
Lily's oyster coacher. She got me so much oysters. But shame she didn't eat it herself.
Because that one not good.
Go on here. There's near the water. There's the best there.
Mom,
Yes?
there's a fossil on an oyster shell.
Oh, yeah, naughty fossil. Look, try this one. I think, look, this is few of them. No, until them from here. You probably get straight one.
Hard. That one's been there a long time. That one's
Maybe I'll try. Look, let me try. Now hold the camera. Wait, but not by... look like you're stronger than me.
You did it. It's because I was using one hand. It was because I was using one hand.
Ah! Why I drop it? Oh, yeah, that's a lovely one.
Mum, get the camera. Get the... No, not
Oh, oh, yes. I just want to eat it. Ah, that's good one. Lilia, oyster quarter. Oyster quarter. Catch. Ух, холодно как. Очень холодно, вода. Yeah, I'll give you...
I found a handprint on the rock.
Where? It's not true.
I
Oh, really? What is this? It's pop rock. And red. What a funny color. Huh, that's strange. Look at me. Make a picture with this. Так, вот мы садимся на корабль. Сейчас будем смотреть Hole in the Rock. Whale Island. Дырка в камне. Дырка в скале. Все, едем в круиз, отправляемся. Поплывем. Здесь как холодно уже, it's already cold. Так, Личик, на. Все, отплываем. Вон островочек, до которого доплыть можно. Там тоже, наверное, пляж. No, I said not straight away, no. We didn't even start working it. Can you imagine how many people will be there now? No. Later on we do it. No, still we just do it.
Hello, good afternoon everybody and welcome on board Dolphin Seeker and welcome to the Bay of Islands. Now the first thing we need to do this afternoon is go to Russell. We have other guests waiting to join us on Russell. At Russell, and once we have those guests on board, I'll introduce your crew to you. I'll tell you what facilities are available to you on board Dolphin Seeker. And most importantly, we'll be doing our safety briefing. Very shortly, you'll be handed out some cruise maps, and on those maps, we'll be referring to the places we're visiting today, both by name and by number. Pioneer is number 1, and Russell is number 2. And we'll be there in approximately 10 minutes' time.
Here, we're not going just here. Only you can get these people. They're very hungry now. Alright, we're going in a minute. Look at this island. Oh, look at how beautiful here. They give us this map. Can I just have 10% discount of your next cruise? Oh yeah. Look at. Can I just look me, please? Dareka, this way, yeah. Where's this Rock Island? Russell Kororeka, historical seaside village, a haven for visitors since 1700. Base for the South Pacific whaling fleet.
The base just in front of us, the very small township of Russell. Maori name for this town, the original name is Kororeka.
Russell.
This was the very first European settlement to become permanently established in this country. In the 1830s it was a very important trading and supply port for the visiting whaling and sealing fleet. And it wasn't unusual to have up to 30 ships in this harbour at any time and over 1,000 sailors ashore. To cater for the sailors' needs, pubs, bars, grog shops, they sprung up all along the waterfront. And amongst all of those, houses of ill repute. Kororeka became a very wild and rough and lawless place, and it quickly gained a reputation as the hellhole of the South Pacific. Missionary stationed in Kaihe described it as a vile place and wanted nothing to do with it. However, all that's changed. Russell's a quiet little town now of about 1,000 permanent population, a very popular holiday destination, and a well sought after place of residence.
Тут тоже. Для миллионеров, конечно, место. Тоже первый.
See the campervans over on the left there?
Какие пляжи здесь?
There. We stop there and have dinner.
Какие.
Got to leave.
Ничего не вижу. Лили. Nice. Yeah, probably. If you have any dolphins here. I don't think they will have any chance to meet anything now. Вот здесь вот, номер 7. Там Кук приехал. Капитан Кук. Discover New Zealand, Australia.
Spending 6 days of the day.
котором у нас в России ходит легенда, что его съели аборигены. На самом деле его никто не ел, просто его вроде как купили на Гаити. Но предварительно он взял в Гаити какого-то мальчика гаитского, приплыл к берегам Новой Зеландии, и вот эти вот маори, племена дикарей, которые несколько веков назад, 130 лет тому назад, до Кука, сюда приплывал какой-то этот самый голландец, который, кстати, назвал эту землю Новой Зеландией. Зеландия, это значит Зи, море, и Ланд, то есть Нью, новая, то есть это новая морская земля. Он, значит, побоялся приплыть к Новой Зеландии, поскольку он тут увидел дикарей, которых тут все в татуировках они были, язык у них традиция была высовывать, как нам в музее показали. В общем, короче, испугался и повернул назад. Вот, и Кук все это знал, такая история очень была, он был англичанин, он оказался более умным. Предварительно заехал на Гаити, там как-то подружился с местным населением, а гаитяне, они говорили на одном, не на одном, но на похожем языке с новозеландцами. В общем, какого-то мальчика он с собой прибрал на Гаити, приехал на Новую Зеландию, тут все уже обосновался. И за счет вот этого мальчика как раз вот эти вот маори, племена, они и сейчас живут, в принципе, в дружбе с европейцами. Никогда не было так ужасно, как у американцев-индейцев. И все это вроде как вот благодаря Куку, то, что он как-то мудро все это дело спланировал. А люди эти, почему они так приняли европейцев? Потому что у них ничего не было, у них не было ни железа, ничего. И все, что привезли европейцы, это очень намного улучшило эту жизнь. Короче, они не жаловались. Ну вот, а как погиб этот Кук, я так точно толком не поняла. Ну, погиб он на Гаити. Видно, они с этим мальчиком вернулись на Гаити, а там я уж не знаю, что произошло. Но в этом случае никто его не ел. Такие острова. Но острова вот эти, это не те острова, которые на карте помечены, как острова Кука. Кук очень много еще открывал. Вообще великий человек был. Надо будет о нем получше почитать. Вон такой вот Lily, look at the beautiful island, look. Пока-пока.
The road ends, and if you wish to continue along the Cape Breton Peninsula, you have to walk.
Oh, look, this is lovely
That
beach.
little settlement has been settled for well over 900 years, ever since the very first migration of Maoris came to New Zealand over 900 years ago. Now we are travelling on the eastern side of the bay, and the early European explorers in the 18 and 1700s were amazed at how many people actually lived here. Captain Cook estimated there were over 8,000 Maori people living here in the Bay of, in the eastern side of the Bay of Islands.
This is another island, look.
The reason for that is the temperate climate we get, a fair bit of rain, and makes it easier to grow crops. And this start to feel a little bit more movement in the vessel as we
Oh, look at this. Lily, look at this. little bit like.
Two species of dolphin that visit us in the bay. These are common dolphins, and the common dolphins
Сейчас
are
буду
about
дельфинами плавать.
the size of these ones.
Прохладно для этого.
Dolphins
Get
are
dressed,
once
get западная я.
residents of the bay,
We'll tell
but
you
they
later.
are very, very regular visitors. And we get over 300 or 400 of these guys visiting us on a very regular basis.
They put on a show.
Actually, folks, we're quite fortunate today.
О, dolphin, Lily. Like here? Oh. Here, he's good.
She's going to do the commentary for us.
That one coming? Can I see it?
Turning around, so everybody manages to get a pretty good look at them.
Yes,
Pretty
can
quiet
see
these
it.
guys there. As you can see, every now and again they'll do a couple of jumps out of the water, but generally
Oh, see here? Look, they're close here. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, look, she's coming to us. Oh, lovely. Oh, look. Oh, that's lovely.
Okay, so you'll see these dolphins are quite spread out through here. Now, as we spend a little bit of time having a look at these animals, hopefully there might be one or two out here that we can recognize
Oh, look. Oh, lovely.
by name. Not everybody gets a name, but there are some dolphins that do come to visit us a little more
Like
regularly
visitors.
than others. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see
Ah.
Wow, how do you do
and some
that?
of them are just coming out above the surface of the
They
water.
put
What
yourself
they're doing
in both
is
of
using
them?
the momentum.
Oh,
Go down
lovely.
and capture the fish.
Oh, look, you can walk. Oh, you sound lovely.
Five dolphins!
It looks like they're kahawai or sea trout. Now, these guys, as they come
Oh,
above the
here?
surface like this, you can see just
I can
how
see them there as
close some of them
well.
are. Most of these dolphins reach around 3 meters,
Oh,
3.5
look.
meters in length, and about 200 to 300 kilos.
Would you swim with them?
Yeah.
Swim now, it's cold. You haven't got armbands on now. Oh, look at this. Ah.
Alright, so we've got dolphins racing around all over the show. Way up to our left as well. Oh, he's got kahawai in his mouth. Woohoo! Now, even though these dolphins have got lots of conical shaped teeth on the upper and the lower jaw, they don't use them for chewing. They only use them for getting a
Oh,
grip
here,
on the
Lily,
fish.
look. Look how
So
close.
what happens is that they use
Oh,
it
look,
and
yeah,
they
look.
They chase after the fish.
Oh,
and they
look.
keep distance between them and the
I can
fish.
see what I'm feeling. I'm
And
feeling
once
him.
they've captured that fish, they
Oh, look at this. That's good boy.
scale partially the
Oh,
scale of the fish,
how
they
lovely.
pick around a couple of times, and
Mm.
then they swallow it head first and whole. Now, when you're a big, big dolphin like this, you can end up consuming anything up to a good 8 kilos of fish in a day. But they do snack throughout the day and the night, no particular feeding time.
Oh, see here.
Where are they? Where are they?
Nova.
What's
Here, see.
Now, these dolphins don't necessarily have to be all related to one another. In fact, often we find that with many of the dolphins we can identify
discovery.
that they have very strong alliances or bonds with other individuals that they're not always related to. So just like people have best friends, so do dolphins.
Oh, thank you, here, Lily.
So what's
Can I see
really
this right away,
wonderful
please?
about seeing these dolphins out here is that they are carrying on to do whatever they wish to do. We've got absolutely no control over them whatsoever. And the wonderful part of this is that you guys are getting to watch dolphins doing things naturally. Now, because they are
here?
their own
Oh,
natural
here's
environment,
lovely.
these dolphins are expected to have an average lifespan of around 50 to 60 years. Some of them will live longer than that, but that's an average. Unfortunately, when you see dolphins and other small whales in captivity,
Oh, she's just
their
here.
lifespan is
Oh, look at this.
situations is only about 9 years.
Oh, we don't know what they are.
What you're seeing out here.
They're so suddenly, it feels so suddenly that I can... Oh, another one. I can catch them.
And of course, apart from living a highly stressful life in an amusement park,
Oh,
guys
look at
here have a much best time of it,
Okay, so-
living their natural lives and getting to travel whenever they like. These dolphins can actually travel anything up to about 60 kilometres or even up to possibly 80 kilometres of coastline in a day if they
Yes,
wish to.
there's lots of them.
They certainly can get themselves around.
When
Now,
we come
they
close
also
here.
are known to travel anywhere from just south of Auckland and Tauranga all the way up to the top of New Zealand. So there are many different harbours along the Northland coastline. So though we see dolphins very often along the Bay of Islands area, there can also be many different pods all the way through the different parts of the coastline. And that makes it fun for
Yes.
some individuals
Just
that
take him
are
under
so
the water. Yeah,
highly
he's coming. Oh,
social
bless
that they
you,
will spend
look.
a lot of time changing and swapping around from one pod to another fairly frequently throughout their life. Coming in towards us on the left-hand side. Ricketts Method. There he is, coming in on the left side of the bow. Oh, and creep on up again.
Oh,
Further.
lovely. He's not too scared.
Right, one of those big guys. There's
Mm.
Kermit just to our
Oh.
left. So as they come in a little bit closer, you'll start to see lots of scars and scratches over their bodies, particularly the ones that run parallel on their skin.
Hmm.
Those are known as rake marks. Now, just like a garden rake, dolphins' teeth, they run their teeth around each other's bodies and bite each other when they're mating, playing, or if they're being aggressive.
Oh, look at this, how lovely. Oh,
He's
it's
coming
so
down with one of his mates.
the mommy and daddy, I think.
No, it's one of it's their mate. That's what she did.
Mm. Oh.
Why don't the dolphins do what I say? In the dolphin shows, they always go out.
The dolphin shows it because now they're real life. Look.
Oh, come on.
Alright, this might be
They're very
Eclipse
clever.
just here coming in underneath the
Should be
bow of the
careful as
boat on
well.
the left-hand side. She's just going to move up towards the very front of the bow. Oh, and Kiwi, she's out to the left-hand side as well.
Where's Kiwi?
Kiwi's got a fish in her mouth, she's just about to swallow it. She's got Flip just to the
Where's
left of
Kiwi?
her.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Kiwi's her name. I thought it was Kiwi
There
girl.
is a core pod here of individuals
Oh, look how
that
lovely.
almost always spend all of their time together. Kiwi's still got a fish in her mouth. She's
Oh.
just swung it round. She's
Oh,
got
look
it
how
pointed head
clever.
down.
They give him name.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Hawaii.
how clever.
Just got the tail hanging out there, poor old fish. Now what's rather interesting with these guys, as I said, they
Oh,
have
look at
very,
them.
very close alliances with each other. Kiwi actually left this pod and she was
Good.
away from her group. She went off with some other dolphins that had juveniles and calves with them. And she disappeared with a different pod for probably around about 2 months. And about 3 days ago, she just recently arrived back into town. So quite incredible that she's managed to come back into the Bay of Islands and rejoin her old main pod. Oh, there's my big boy there, Seekong on the left. He's also got a big fish in his mouth. There he goes. He's just wallowing about out to our left. And I think with one gulp, it's probably gone. Yeah, all no, he's still got it in his mouth.
Oh, lovely.
Now, these dolphins are, some of them are just massive, and Fleetconk's probably one of our largest actually. He's 4 metres, and he's probably close to about 400 kilos in weight. And he's probably one of the more major hierarchy in the pod. Most groups of whales and dolphins have very highly social bonds with one another, and it's believed that normally it's matriarchs who get to be in charge. But there are sometimes more male-orientated or dominated groups. Kiwi's still got that fish in her mouth. I think she might be teasing Flip. Alright, I think she might have just swallowed that fish now. Once you see dolphins and whales coming up to the surface and taking those very quick breaths of air, every single breath a
How
whale
many of them
dolphin
together?
takes
4
is a
or 3?
voluntary one. Guys, can you please watch where we put our cups and things, please?
Oh,
We are not very happy to see rubbish floating around in the
oh
ocean.
look, it's
Certainly not around dolphins. So if you have any rubbish, it is very important to place it into the rubbish bin directly.
Chaka rubbish out. Your rubbish here. Some chaka, make sure dolphins can be poisoned by that.
Really?
Yeah, they can. Look at this, you shouldn't do things like that. The dolphin show. That is a dolphin show, really.
Dolphin shows that.
Huh?
Dolphin shows that.
You think so? But they're real. Look, exactly like they are.
Kind of in the wrong direction for us. We'll just see them for the last couple of minutes or so after we retrieve the cup. And
Keep up by dolphins.
we'll then have to be underway.
Yeah, I've got things to say. It's okay.
Why are people filming the car? Why are people filming the car?
Why are you sometimes checking your rubbish out without thinking?
I
Now, you
do.
would not believe the debris that animals end up caught in, because as humans,
Lily, look at me. Lily. Look at this. Do you see many dolphins? Huh? Only one. Так, ну вот, плавали знаменитый ров. Посмотрели самую красоту Зеландии. Называется место залив островов. Через реку не проехали, на опасно бывает было. Снимаю я несколькими камерами, поэтому тут я уже не буду ничего дублировать, как идут, так я иду. Дельфинчики, мультики. bellissimi, vedete? Look at this beautiful view. Restart.
Direct air connection from visual aids coming through from the other side of the island. Maori name for the island is Motu Kokako. Motu in Maori means island. Kokako is the name of a chief who came through here.
Yes, ты хочешь среди S.
Migrated to the Bay of Islands.
Здесь вот такой фотограф. Oh, I wish you didn't call me.
Over 900 years ago.
It's not coming in?
Top of their name, the island. The island is still held in trust by our local Maori people up here, local Maori tribes.
Oh, now we can't analysis.
Representatives from the
Gee, man, have we got a shot of you with your...
Come on, go on.
Some 800 years later, with Captain Cook was coming through here.
Totally natural.
Those difficult headwinds and forced them to return to the shore.
We're going through the hole now.
Hey, we're going through.
We're going through this hole. It's the most interesting thing. Lily, look at me, Lily. Yes. Look, we're going through the hole or not.
Well, folks, unfortunately today's one of those days where it's too rough to go through, and it's even on the other side of the hole, it's just a little bit too rough as well.
This island, and the waves completely, or the sea completely fills the hole, forces them through from the other side. Spouts out from
Look at me, just look at me now.
Yeah. Oh no, and another one. Didn't get that one. Good.
Thank you, Dad.
Lovely. Good take on it.
Look at me.
Oh, that one.
Stay here, Lily. Lily, stay here.
Bill Derry.
My bag.
Thank you.
As far as holes go, it's quite a good hole.
I didn't have the chance to make photography.
we make a run back.
Oh, it's still filming. Filming.
Folks, here's your, one of your last chances to have a look at the hole and rock. Just remember though, Chris Remaining Lighthouse is there.
I know, they told you in my
Crawling and testing at walking distance of some 60 kilometers.
Memory, carta memory. Не застес.
Day now, and as I say, we will be leaving you here. We'll expect
Вот, потому что мы были целый день тут, а некоторые ходили на этом острове. На час, кажется. Ой, здесь такой красивый. Look at me. Why is that wet?
folks, we've got those dolphins out here just out
I can just
past this
take them
little
off and put shoes
lake
on
in front of
without
us.
socks.
Same dolphins we had before, I believe. We won't be able to stop and look at them, but if you want to take a look at them as we go past, you're welcome to. They'll be on our right-hand side.
Вот разница. Oh. What's this? Dolphins? Oh, right. There's a dolphins. Come here. Yeah, they could be. Yeah, come here. Go this way, quickly. Go this way, from here.
I got no shoes on.
Put your shoes on then.
Couple more really placing on our left-hand side there, just to the left of the passengers who are coming through here. Right on our left, there we are. Let's come out the one there.
Where? Here? Oh, where? Can't see him. Where? Oh, yeah? Over there. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, that was a dolphin, yeah. Where's him? Gone. Oh, here he is. Oh, just here, just next to us, look. Oh, lovely he is. He's gorgeous. Look at me, Lily. Yes, a dolphin here. Be careful. Oh, under the boat. You're probably going on the other side. Lily, be careful, but don't... Be very careful there.
Oh, there he is.
Where?
He just went underwater.
Oh. Oh, she's not scared to go under the boat. Oh, yeah, yes, two.
There.
Oh, yeah, oh, look at them. Yeah. Oh, lovely.
There.
Oh, bless them.
Wonderful donkey.
Oh, he's coming to us.
There.
Oh, look at this. Just Lily, don't tip off like this.
They're basically going to have a good old ride with us, and they'll start surfing there, and they'll get right up behind the boat. So
Oh, look at yours. Look at this girl, lovely. Oh,
There.
amazing.
There. Oh, you missed it. Dolphin.
Oh, look. Lily, look. Лиля! Лиля! Лиля, look at me! Go look at this island. It's nice. Look at that, just be very careful there. Новая Зеландия. Ладно, можно сказать, что мы ее посмотрели. По крайней мере, этот остров. Мы посмотрели и южную его часть, или центральную, и северную. Северная считается самая лучшая часть. Здесь самый теплый климат, сегодня, правда, холодно. И вот этот самый Джеймс Кук, капитан, сюда приземлился. Отсюда начались. Лилечка, сядь сюда, Лиля. Ты лишь без Кэрризе. Stop being ridiculous. Все, садись сюда. Так, все, подплываем уже. Вот там островочек маленький.
Thank you very much for traveling with us. We hope you
Подплываем мы назад. К тому курорту, где мы этих самых устриц ели. посмотреть ту Зеландию, который приехал в Прикол-Кук 200 лет назад. Да, нетронутая. Это все равно, какая бы она красивая ни была, все равно stolen civilization. Украденная цивилизация.
This is our stop.
Yes, it is our stop. There's nowhere else to go. Don't you recognize this little island there? Don't you recognize this beach, Lily? Look. Look. Sorry. Look, Lily. Don't you recognize this beach? Don't you recognize this tree?
No.
There are all oysters there. Over there. Oysters place. Едем назад. Лили уснула. Долго ехать. Так, зарядила телефон здесь. В дороге очень даже ничего. Ну вот. Что-то опять мне еще светит здесь что-то.
A minute or so we'll be pulling into our brief stop. Really this is just a comfort stop. Probably don't have time to order coffees or anything like that, but you're welcome to get a cold drink perhaps to bring on board. May not be a lot of food left in the cabinets either, but really we just stop here to take advantage of the bathroom facilities. A little bit of a stretch of the legs, so we'll make it as quick as...
Is this video? Oh, это we're going away now. Все, вот мы остановились вот в этом большом ресторанчике. Сейчас пойдем уже. Поедем к автобусу.
Yeah, just try it.
No, it's okay. It's Auckland at night, look. Sky Tower. We're somewhere there. It's quite nice, yeah.
I was scared up in the Sky Tower, weren't I?
Was you?
Very shortly I'm going to put the overhead lights on. It's probably a good idea to start making sure you have all your personal belongings with you. And when you do leave the seat of the coach, when you stand up, make sure you turn around and look back behind you on your seats, on the floor, just to make sure you don't leave anything behind in the coach. It's always difficult to catch up with you once we've dropped you off.